need a beer?
I do. Well, no, this is actually a pretty fresh one. Okay.
That's the Instagram photo.
Okay, last take, hopefully.
Drink.
Hey, I'm Janelle, and this is toDIYfor. I need this drink because this DIY was almost a complete fail, but I managed to salvage everything thanks to my sister having a few things in her van.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Hey, I'm Janelle, and this is toDIYfor, coming at you from the cottage this week. So I did a cottage DIY, which miserably failed, and I wasted hours on it. But I will show you the proper way to do it so that you don't waste your time at the cottage like I did. It's a sweet hammock chair, and let's just get right into it. So originally I thought I was going to do this with rope. It will work, and I will show you that technique. I just did not have nearly enough. If you're going to do it, you'll need about 200 meters of 1/4 inch rope, also a 1/2 inch rope to hang it with. You'll also need a drill, a screwdriver, 4 screws, a measuring tape, some scissors, and some drill bits. And the dowels that I have here are 3 1¼ inch dowels that are 30 inches long and 2 5/8 inch dowels that are 36 inches long. All of those measurements will be left below. So starting with the largest dowels, I'm making marks on 2 of them on both ends at 2 inches and 3½ inches. So at 3½ inches on both sides, I am drilling in that first hole for our rope, and the second hole is much larger, 5/8 of an inch, which is actually going to fit the smaller dowel that we have. So do that to 2 largest dowels on either side of them. The third largest dowel I'm marking in at 3½ inches, and I am doing that on both ends again, and this is for the rope, so using that same drill bit that we used in the first place. While you're doing this, it's a really good idea to get somebody to help you hold them in place so the all the holes are made straight. Once you've done all of that, we're just going to piece the frame together, and it makes a rectangle, sliding in the smallest dowel into those largest holes that you created, and leave about an inch overhang. So I'm just drilling a pilot hole here because this is hardwood. We don't want it to crack when we put the screw in, and it also makes it a heck of a lot easier to screw it into place. So once you have all 4 screws in place, you have a nice sturdy frame to work with here. I'm going to show you the rope technique. Now this is much longer than doing the blanket technique, but I was really happy with how this was working. Again, I said I just didn't have enough rope, so what I'm doing here is measuring out about 1.5 lengths of what the length of my frame is here. Make sure that that is doubled before you chop it, and my rope really frayed, so I just tied a knot here on the end, and you can use a lighter to kind of singe up all of those edges to clean it all up. That is optional. So to loop it around and attach it, I'm just looping that around the top of that large dowel there. Did that with a couple of ropes, and I will show you my technique here. Something I kind of just made up. It was braiding 3 strands together, skipping 1 strand. Braiding 3 strands together, and then skipping a strand. So if you're wondering how this all works, that strand that we skip goes back and it weaves in between both of those braids, connecting and linking them together. I was really happy with how this turns out. I know it looks like it's very, very tight, but when you kind of loosen it up and pull it apart, it looks just like a hammock. So this didn't work. I was miserable because this took a long time. I had half the amount of rope that I needed, so I ended up chopping it all off and tossing it away. So, plan B. My sister luckily had this blanket in her car. She said I could chop it up. This isn't the ideal fabric that I would suggest using if you do go the fabric route. It is incredibly quicker, but get something that doesn't stretch nearly as much as this fleece fabric that I'm working with. She also, for some reason, had a sewing kit in her car, so I had a needle and thread, and then I also used some fishing line for my thread because she didn't have nearly enough. Yes, a lot of improvising at the cottage. So to attach this, you're just looping the blanket around both of the largest dowels on either end and stitching it into place. If you're doing this at home, use a sewing machine. The stitch will hold a lot better than a hand stitch. You'll just have to assemble it all afterwards so you can slide the fabric on. Now to hang it, I'm taking that 1/2 inch rope, and these are 2 10-foot lengths that I decided to use. Definitely you can measure different ones. So I'm attaching both sides with that 1 10-foot length So the right side will have a 10-foot length and the left side will have a 10-foot length, attaching the top and the bottom. Now I'm just tying a knot here in the third dowel, and I left this rope as long as possible just because this is how you're going to hang it from a tree or wherever you plan to do it. And you put a piece of rope on each end. So the way it attaches is that third rod connects to the tree, and then the two 10-foot lengths wrap around it and knot it and adjust it for the right height. To put together once I figured it all out. Just don't make the same mistakes that I did, and you'll have a great hammock chair to drink your beer in at the cottage or somewhere in your backyard. I'm gonna cut this short because I've got more beer to drink and I just want to enjoy my week at the cottage. But don't forget to subscribe because I will be back next Wednesday with a new DIY for you, and feel free to leave more comments below of anything you'd like to see me try in the future. Cheers! I don't even know what I'm gonna say. Huh? Ah! I know.